Have you ever felt like you were the only one doing the right thing? Like the whole world was going in one direction, and you were walking in another? That's exactly where our story begins today, with a man named Noah. Picture this, a world that had forgotten where it came from. The air wasn't just dry from a long drought. It was thick with anger, arguments, and selfishness. People had turned their backs on kindness, on each other, and on their Creator. The land was cracked and gray, mirroring the hearts of the people who lived there. It was a loud, chaotic, and broken world. But amidst all this noise and confusion, there was one man, Noah, who chose a different path. He wasn't swayed by the crowd. He listened to a quieter, more profound voice, the voice of God. He lived a life of faith and obedience in a world that mocked such things. While everyone else was busy with their own squabbles, Noah was busy with a divine project. In the middle of this dusty, barren landscape, an incredible sight was taking shape. A colossal wooden structure, an ark of immense proportions, was being built. It was a baffling, almost absurd sight in a world that had likely never seen a proper downpour, let alone a flood. Day after day, under the scorching sun, Noah and his family worked. The sound of hammers and saws was a strange kind of music in that desolate place, rhythm of faith against a backdrop of doubt. Noah didn't keep his mission a secret. He was more than just a builder. He was a messenger. He would pause his work, wipe the sweat from his brow, and call out to the people passing by. A great flood is coming. He'd warn them. God is going to wash the world clean of all its wickedness, but he has provided a way to be saved. This ark is our refuge. Come, help us build, and you too can be saved. But his words fell on deaf ears. People would stop, not to listen, but to mock. They'd gather in groups, pointing and laughing. A flood. Noah, you've spent too long in the sun. They'd jeer. Look at the sky. There isn't a single cloud. Where is this rain of yours going to come from? To them, Noah was a crazy old man, wasting his life on a pointless, gigantic boat in the middle of a desert. They were so confident in their own understanding of the world that they could imagine anything beyond what their own eyes could see. Their disbelief didn't deter Noah. For years, he endured the ridicule. Can you imagine the strength it took to keep working, day in and day out, on a project that everyone around you calls foolish, to hold onto a promise that seems impossible? His hands became calloused from the wood, his back ached from the labor, but his faith never wavered. Every plank of gopher wood he laid was an act of trust. Every nail he hammered was a declaration of his belief in God's word. While the world partied and fought, blind to the coming judgment, Noah and his family prepared. They were not just building a boat, they were building an ark of salvation. They were preparing for a storm no one else could see. It's a powerful reminder, isn't it? Sometimes, the most important work we do is the work that no one else understands. Sometimes, faith looks like foolishness to the world. As the ark grew larger, so did the people's scorn. Yet Noah's warning remained the same, a constant, unwavering call to turn back, a plea for them to see beyond their own arrogance. But they chose to remain blind. They were comfortable in their ways, too proud to heed the warning of a humble man who walked with God. They couldn't see that the storm clouds were gathering, not in the sky, but in the consequences of their own choices. The final peg was driven. The last plank was sealed with pitch. The great ark stood complete, a silent wooden testament to one man's incredible faith and God's immense patience. It was a bizarre monument in a world on the brink of destruction, and still no one listened. The sun continued to beat down, the ground remained dry, and the people continued to laugh. They had no idea that their time for choosing was running out. This is just the beginning of Noah's incredible journey. His story is a testament to the power of unwavering faith in the face of overwhelming doubt. What happens when the first drop of rain finally falls? Stick with us to find out. Thanks for watching. If this story inspires you, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more content that explores these timeless tales of faith. We'll see you in the next video. Have you ever witnessed something so incredible, so mind-bending, that it completely shattered your reality? Imagine standing on a dry, dusty plain, the sun beating down, and all you can hear is the sound of laughter. People mocking a man who built a colossal boat in the middle of nowhere, miles from any ocean. That was the scene for Noah. Day in, day out, he and his family endured the jeers, the insults, the constant questioning of their sanity. They were the local joke, the builders of the world's biggest folly. For 120 years, they toiled, hammering every plank, sealing every seam, all based on a promise, a warning from God that no one else believed. The world around them continued on, filled with corruption and violence, completely oblivious to the storm that was brewing, not just in the heavens, but in the very fabric of their society. They saw a giant wooden box. Noah saw a vessel of salvation. Then, one day, the laughter stopped. It didn't fade away slowly. It was cut short by a low, deep rumble. It wasn't thunder from the sky, not yet. This was a vibration coming from the ground itself. A tremor that grew stronger with every passing second. Every head turned towards the horizon. What was that? A dust cloud, massive and swirling, rising up like a tan-colored mountain range that was moving, getting closer. The jeers died in their throats, replaced by a confused silence. The ground began to shake more intensely, a rhythmic, heavy beat that you could feel in your bones. It was the sound of footsteps, thousands, millions of them. And then, from within the swirling dust, shapes began to emerge. First, the giants, a pair of giraffes, their long necks swaying gracefully above the cloud, like periscopes of a living submarine. Their movements were calm, deliberate, as they walked side by side. Then came the elephants, a male and a female, their massive feet causing the thumping that shook the very earth. Their trunks were raised, not in alarm, but in a kind of salute. The crowd was frozen, their faces a perfect picture of disbelief, turning into awe and then into fear. This wasn't natural. Following the elephants, a pair of majestic lions, the king and queen of the savannah, padded silently forward. But there was no menace in their eyes, no predator's glare. They walked with the same serene purpose as the giraffes. A symphony of animal noises began to fill the air, not a chaotic jungle cry, but an ordered, harmonious chorus. The trumpeting of elephants, the low growl of the lions, the chattering of monkeys, the chirping of 1,000 birds. And it wasn't just the big animals. Look closer. A pair of tiny dung beetles, rolling their precious cargo, marching with the same determination. Ants moved in 2 perfect lines. A pair of sloths, moving with uncharacteristic speed, clung to a branch carried by, well, no one could see what was carrying it. It just moved. Snakes slithered past wolves, lambs walked beside leopards, and eagles soared overhead, circling the ark before landing gently on its roof. Every creature you could imagine, and some you couldn't, was there. From the largest whale breaching in a miraculously formed channel of water leading to the ark, to the smallest hummingbird, a shimmering jewel of green and blue, hovering patiently. It was a procession unlike any other, a living, breathing river of fur, feathers, and scales, all flowing towards one destination, the ark. The people who had been laughing just moments before were now speechless. Their mockery had turned to stone in their mouths. This wasn't a random stampede. This was an organized gathering. The animals weren't fleeing from a fire or a flood. They were arriving, and they were walking, 2 by 2, up the enormous ramp and into the ark, all on their own. No one was hurting them. No one was forcing them. They moved with a shared, silent understanding. The lion lay down with the lamb, not as a predator with its prey, but as fellow travelers on a sacred journey. The wolf and the sheep, the leopard and the goat, the calf and the young lion, they entered together, a living embodiment of a peace that surpassed all understanding. It was a miracle, a divine command whispered into the heart of every creature, overriding instinct, overriding the natural order of predator and prey. Inside the safety of the gopher wood, there was only harmony. As the last pair of animals, 2 small dormice, scurried up the ramp and disappeared inside, a hush fell over the land. Noah and his family, their faces etched with a mixture of relief, awe, and profound faith, stood at the entrance. They looked out one last time at the world they knew, at the stunned faces of those who had refused to listen. Then, with a deep, groaning creak that echoed across the plain, the massive door of the ark began to move. It was too heavy for any man to close alone. Slowly, inch by inch, the giant wooden slab swung shut, sealing the animals and Noah's family inside. As the door met the frame with a final booming thud, a giant latch, forged of wood and iron, fell into place, locking it from the outside. Then, something incredible happened. A brilliant, golden light, brighter than the sun, descended from the heavens. It wasn't a physical hand, but it moved like one, tracing the outline of the massive door, sealing every crack, every seam, making it completely watertight. It was the hand of God, placing his final seal of protection upon the vessel of hope. The ark was now a self-contained world, a sanctuary floating in a world on the brink of judgment. Outside, the sky began to darken. The first drop of rain fell. A single drop of rain strikes the parched, dusty earth. A dark circle blooms in the ochre soil. Then another drop falls, and another, faster and faster, like the drumming of 1,000 tiny feet. A cool wind whispers through the trees, a prelude to the coming tempest. Look up. The sky, once a brilliant expanse of blue, has transformed into a swirling cauldron of charcoal black. It's as if the day has been swallowed whole by an encroaching night. Without warning, the heavens tear open. This isn't just rain. It's a deluge, a solid wall of water crashing down upon the world. The sound is deafening, a relentless roar that drowns out all else. The dry ground, unable to absorb the onslaught, begins to churn. Fountains of water burst from the earth itself, as if the very depths of the world are being unleashed. Springs and geysers erupt, joining the torrent from above. The streams swell, the rivers overflow their banks, and the valleys begin to fill, transforming the landscape into a raging sea. Amidst this cataclysm, the Ark, a colossal vessel of gopher wood, stands defiant. For a moment, it seems immovable, a wooden mountain against the storm. Then you hear it, a deep, resonant groan of timber. The structure shudders. The rising waters lap at its base, then climb its sides, higher and higher. The ground beneath it liquefies, turning to mud, then to a shallow lake. With a slow, majestic grace, the great ship begins to lift. It's no longer bound to the earth, it floats. The Ark is now adrift on the rising tide, a solitary beacon of hope in a world rapidly being consumed by dark, churning water. From the outside, it's a scene of utter chaos. Lightning cracks across the sky, momentarily illuminating the Ark, a tiny speck tossed upon an endless, angry ocean. Thunder follows, a bone-rattling concussion that seems to shake the very foundations of the universe. The roar of the storm is relentless, a symphony of destruction. The world as Noah knew it is disappearing beneath the waves. Every mountain peak, every tall tree, every sign of civilization is being erased. But let's go inside, push through the heavy wooden door, and step into the heart of the Ark. The deafening roar of the storm is muffled here, a constant low rumble that vibrates through the floor. It's dark, but not for long. We see Noah, his face etched with a mixture of awe and solemn responsibility. He strikes a flint, and a spark catches. He lights a lamp, and a warm, gentle glow pushes back the shadows. The flickering light reveals his family, huddled together not in terror, but in quiet reverence. Their faces are turned towards the light, their eyes reflecting a deep, unshakable trust. And the animals, they are calm. In their stalls and enclosures, pairs of every kind rest peacefully. The lions lie down near the lambs, the wolves beside the sheep. The air isn't filled with the panicked cries you might expect, but with a strange and profound serenity. It's as if they, too, understand that they are part of something divine, protected from the chaos raging just a few inches of wood away. The gentle swaying of the Ark is a cradle, not a cage. For 40 days and for 40 nights, the rain did not cease. The world became water, an endless, unbroken ocean stretched from horizon to horizon, with no land in sight. It was a world washed clean, a world returned to its primordial state. But inside the Ark, there was life, there was warmth, there was the soft glow of a lamp, the gentle breathing of sleeping creatures, and the quiet prayers of a faithful family. In the midst of the immense, silent, watery expanse, this floating sanctuary was a promise. God had not forgotten Noah. He had not forgotten his covenant. Hope was afloat, waiting for the waters to recede and for a new beginning to dawn. This was more than just a storm. It was a profound and necessary baptism for the world. The Ark, tossed on the waves, was not a vessel of despair, but a vessel of destiny. Every creak of its timbers was a note in a song of survival. Every drop of rain that hammered its roof was a reminder of the power and mystery of the Creator. Noah and his family were the keepers of the flame of life, tasked with carrying it across the dark waters into the light of a new world. They were living through the end of one age and were destined to become the dawn of the next. And as the great ship drifted on, it carried with it the future of all life on earth, a precious cargo held safely in the palm of God's hand. After 40 long days and 40 long nights, an almost deafening silence fell over the Ark. The constant, thunderous drumming of the rain against the wooden hull ceased. The violent rocking and pitching of the vessel began to slow, then stopped altogether. A gentle stillness settled in, a peace they hadn't known for what felt like an eternity. Noah, feeling the shift, cautiously made his way to a window he had built high in the ark's side. He pushed it open, and for the first time in over a month, fresh, clean air flooded the space, carrying with it the scent of wet earth and a world washed clean. The sky, once a blanket of oppressive gray, was now a brilliant, clear blue. The waters had receded. Below them, cradling the massive ark, were the peaks of a great mountain range, the mountains of Ararat. The great vessel had come to rest. Hope, a fragile but persistent flame, flickered brighter in Noah's heart. He needed to know if the land was ready, if life could once again take root outside the confines of their floating sanctuary. He reached for a small cage and gently took out a raven, a strong, dark bird. He held it for a moment, then released it into the vast, open sky. The raven circled the ark once, then flew off, its powerful wings carrying it back and forth over the receding waters, a dark speck against the bright sky. But it did not return. Days turned into a week. Noah waited, his gaze fixed on the horizon, but the raven never came back to the ark. Perhaps it had found a place to land, a carcass to feed on. It was a sign, but not a clear one. He needed a different kind of messenger. So Noah chose again. This time, he selected a dove, pure, white, and gentle. He cupped it in his hands, feeling its soft feathers and the quick, hopeful beat of its tiny heart. He whispered a silent prayer and released it through the window. The dove soared into the air, a flash of white against the blue. It flew far, exploring the newly emerged world, but the waters still covered so much of the earth, and the dove, unlike the hardy raven, could find no place to rest its feet. As evening approached, Noah saw a familiar shape on the horizon. It was the dove, tired but determined, flying back to the only home it knew. Noah reached out his hand through the window, and the dove gratefully landed on his palm. He brought it back inside the ark, into the warmth and safety. He knew he had to be patient. The world was healing, but it needed more time. He waited another 7 days. The silence of the world outside was no longer unnerving. It felt peaceful, full of promise. The sun shone warmly, and a gentle breeze whispered through the open window. The water levels had dropped even further. More and more of the mountain peaks were now visible, like islands emerging from a vast, placid sea. It was time to try again. Noah took the same white dove. It seemed to understand its mission. He released it once more, and with a confident flap of its wings, it flew off, disappearing into the distance. This time, Noah felt a deeper sense of anticipation. All day, he and his family watched the window, their hearts filled with a mixture of hope and anxiety. The sun began to set. Just as twilight began to settle, a speck of white appeared in the sky, growing larger and larger. It was the dove, returning once again, but this time was different. This time, as it flew closer, they could see something in its beak. The dove fluttered through the window and landed softly on Noah's outstretched arm. And there, held gently in its beak, was a freshly plucked olive leaf. It was green, vibrant, and glistened with droplets of water. It was a sign of new life, a promise from the earth itself. Noah's eyes filled with tears, not of sorrow, but of overwhelming joy and relief. He carefully took the leaf from the dove's beak, his fingers trembling slightly. He held it up for his wife, his sons, and their wives to see. A collective gasp of wonder and gratitude filled the air. This small, simple leaf was more precious than any jewel. It was proof that the flood was truly over, proof that the land was healing, that trees were growing again. It was a message directly from God, a symbol of peace and new beginnings. The long, dark chapter was closing, and a new one was about to begin. This single olive leaf represented the renewal of the entire world. It was a sign of hope, a tangible promise that life would not only continue but flourish. The earth was waking up from its long, watery slumber. Noah knew then that their journey was almost at an end. The time to leave the ark and step onto dry land was drawing near. He sheltered the dove, a hero in its own right, and secured the precious olive leaf, a treasure that would be remembered for all time as the ultimate symbol of peace between God and humanity. He waited yet another 7 days, a final period of patient anticipation, giving the earth just a little more time to dry and prepare for their arrival. This time, when he sent the dove out, it did not return. Noah smiled. He knew it had found a home, a place to build its nest. The world was ready. After what felt like an eternity adrift on an endless ocean, a profound silence fell over the ark. The rocking had stopped. The ceaseless drumming of rain had ceased. There was just a quiet, hopeful stillness. Then, with a groan of aged wood, the great door of the ark swung open. Light, brilliant and almost blinding, flooded the dim interior. One by one, then, in a joyous, chaotic rush, the animals emerged. They blinked in the bright sun, their feet touching soft, damp earth for the first time in over a year. Lions stretched their powerful limbs, birds soared into a clear blue sky, their songs a symphony of freedom. The world was reborn. It was washed clean, glistening, and vibrantly green. Everything sparkled with dew, as if nature itself was brand new. Noah, his family standing beside him, took a deep breath of the fresh, sweet air. His heart was overflowing with gratitude. The journey had been long, the task monumental, but they had endured, they had kept the faith. As the animals dispersed, finding their new homes in this rejuvenated landscape, Noah knew what he had to do. He gathered stones, smooth and weathered by the floodwaters, and built a simple altar. It wasn't grand or ornate, but it was built with hands that had worked tirelessly and a heart full of thanks. There, under the open sky, he offered a prayer of gratitude to God, a heartfelt acknowledgement of their survival and the preservation of all life. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated thanks for their deliverance, a humble offering for a mercy so immense. As Noah finished his prayer, something miraculous happened. The last of the morning mist began to part, and a warm, golden light broke through the clouds. It was the sun, a welcome and beautiful sight. But then, arching across the entire expanse of the sky, a spectacle of color appeared. It was a rainbow, more vivid and magnificent than any they had ever imagined. Its colors were impossibly bright, a perfect arc of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet, stretching from one horizon to the other. It was as if the heavens themselves were painted with a promise. The light from the rainbow seemed to touch everything, casting a gentle, colorful glow on the green hills and the sparkling water. It was a breathtaking sign, a divine masterpiece, unveiled for all of creation to see. In that moment, a voice seemed to resonate, not in their ears, but in their hearts and souls. It was a promise from God, a covenant. He declared that this rainbow was a sign of his pledge to Noah, to his descendants, and to every living creature on earth. Never again would the waters become a flood to destroy all life. Every time the rainbow appeared in the clouds, it would be a reminder of this everlasting covenant between God and the earth. It was a promise of hope, a symbol of mercy, and a guarantee of a new beginning. The rainbow wasn't just a beautiful atmospheric phenomenon. It was a sacred seal, a divine signature on a promise of life and continuity. It was God's solemn vow to never again bring about such a global destruction by water. Noah looked up, his eyes wide with wonder. The brilliant colors of the rainbow were reflected in his tear-filled eyes, a perfect, tiny arc mirrored in his gaze. He saw more than just light and color. He saw love, forgiveness, and a future. He saw the faithfulness of God made visible. The fear that had lived in their hearts for so long was finally washed away, replaced by an overwhelming sense of peace and security. This was not just the end of a flood. It was the dawn of a new relationship between the Creator and His creation. A relationship founded on a promise, sealed with a rainbow. The rainbow became an eternal symbol, a message passed down through generations, reminding humanity of God's enduring grace and His commitment to life. And so, the story of the flood doesn't end with destruction, but with a promise. It concludes with the beautiful, hopeful image of a rainbow stretching across a clean, new world. This covenant, this promise, is a cornerstone of faith, reminding us that even after the darkest storms, there is the promise of a new day. It teaches us about hope, about second chances, and about the enduring power of faith. The ark rested, the animals roamed free, and humanity was given a fresh start, all under the watchful, colorful arch of God's promise. It's a powerful reminder that no matter how dark the clouds may seem, we should always look for the rainbow, for it is a sign that the storm has passed and that hope is on the horizon. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more stories that have shaped our world.